Gentleman from Illinois, Mr. LaHood, to inquire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Ambassador Tai, welcome. Congratulations on your new position. And I think it speaks volumes about you and your prior work that you were, I think, confirmed by the Senate 98-0 and had Mr. Brady and Chairman Neal there to introduce you. So look forward to continuing to work with you. I want to talk a little bit about China. If I understand your testimony correct, there are a number of different top-to-bottom reviews as it relates to China. If I understand it, DOD has a review going on. There's a supply chain review going on. And if I understand your testimony, USTR is doing a review of that. So I wanted to see how those three are coordinated together. And then if you can elaborate a little bit on what's your sense of that review, what it'll entail, what are the metrics that you're going to use to analyze the policy, and the time frame for completion.
Mr. LaHood, thank you. This is obviously another area that we are very focused on and spend a lot of our time working on. I think that in terms of terminology, we are talking about our review at USTR as the top-to-bottom China review. But you're right; there are several reviews going on at the same time. Let me distinguish the one that we are undertaking just by saying that this is to look at the U.S.-China trade and economic relationship through the lens of USTR. And it was really on the recommendation and request of Senator Portman, an alum of this committee and also a former U.S. trade representative, to undertake this kind of a review, which he had led at USTR when he was the trade rep back in 2005, 2006, after China had been in the WTO for a couple of years. I think that this is a really important opportunity for us to undertake a comprehensive review of the U.S.-China trade and economic relationship as it is today, with reference to the last review that was conducted 16 years ago, and to look at all the components of the U.S.-China trade policy, including the Phase 1 agreement, including the tariffs, including the exclusions, and really have this opportunity to strategically think through what are the components going to be of an effective strategy? What in what we have right now is effective? What could be more effective? And how do we turn the direction of this very important challenge towards a vision that is going to serve the interests of the U.S. economy today, in the medium term, and also in the long term? In terms of your specific question and how we're coordinated, USTR plays a role in the interagency review on supply chains. That is primarily driven by a number of other agencies, but clearly USTR equities and insights and experience are a critical part of that review, and so we participate very robustly in bringing our expertise to that conversation. On DOD's review, that is DOD's review, but we do have opportunities, regular opportunities for our teams to be connecting, to apprise each other of updates and direction, so that we're not doing this left hand, right hand, left leg, right leg, that we're really taking the opportunity to look at this in a comprehensive way, because that's the opportunity we have right now to try to get this right.
Thank you for that. Back when Secretary Yellen was going through her confirmation, she described China as engaging in abusive, unfair, and illegal practices when it comes to the economy. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
And she also described horrendous human rights abuses by the Chinese. You agree with that?
Yes.
In terms of the full array of tools that we have when it comes to China, tariffs, sanctions, what are those other tools that are in the toolbox that you'll be looking at?
Well, another important tool that we have is that forced labor import ban that I know members of this committee have been very engaged in trying to strengthen with respect to goods made through forced labor coming into the United States. In terms of other tools, let me say this, and this will reference a bit Mr. Kelly's intervention, which is in terms of anti-competitive practices that have really hurt the U.S. economy, jobs, our manufacturing capacity, our competitiveness. We have seen the harm that has played out over the last 15, 20 years, maybe even longer, What we also know is that these patterns are going to keep playing themselves out. So steel and GOES are an example. Solar modules is another example. And then as we look at China's industrial policies, we can see where the next set of anti-competitive challenges are going to be. I think we need tools that are not just about responding to harms that we have experienced in the past, but tools that are going to anticipate where we're going to have the same pattern of harm to allow us to get ahead of the harm and allow us to respond as effectively as possible.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask one quick follow-up question? In terms of those array of tools, should the boycotting in the Olympics be one of those tools?
So on that, I'm not sure. I haven't been thinking about that tool as strictly in the trade and economic policy lane. I think that there's a lot more involved there. I know we've talked about this earlier as well, and it's an area where I know the State Department leads, and it's something that I will raise with Secretary Blinken when I do speak to him next.
Thank you.
Thank the gentleman. Let me recognize